I think you're right. It's an interesting point, right? That how you value turnovers, because you're right. It is a really important thing. The turnover differential is huge when you look at the fancy nerd stats that everyone's pushing now. EPA, that's the big thing, right? Nothing is going to move EPA more than turnovers. So if you're capable of getting those,
right,
it's massive, and that's why But what I think is difficult is you can't just look at interceptions and say, well, this guy had a bunch of those, therefore he was moving the needle the most towards winning, therefore he's the best corner in the NFL. What you really need is a combination of, well, okay, you had a bunch of interceptions, but what is that relative to like opportunity and ease, right? Like how many of those were bad decisions by the quarterback that effectively just threw the ball in your general direction and all you had to do was catch it? You want some kind of like interception over expectation metric, which I don't know currently exists. And then the other question is, well, okay, you generated all these turnovers, but what did you give up in order to make that happen? So one of the things Rivas was harping on about yesterday was in a meeting one time with Rex Ryan, he did up like a highlight reel of Asante Samuel getting torched on double moves, which makes a lot of sense when you think about how Asante Samuel played the game. The guy was aggressive. Right. He went after the first thing. He was trying to intercept the ball. So naturally, he's going to be susceptible to a double move where you're faking that, making him jump on the first thing and then, going somewhere else. So for every one of those interceptions you had, how much did you give up in order to make that happen? And where is the tipping point between that and a guy like Sauce Gardner or Rivas, who doesn't get as many interceptions but doesn't allow as much either?
That's why, like, cornerback debate. Obviously, like we're about to do this. Like we're about to like pick a guy and rank a guy, but there's so many different cases because there's so many different ways to play the position. You mentioned, would you rather be a lockdown guy who's not giving up a lot of yards, or would you rather be somebody who gets a lot of interceptions? And the reason why that debate is so fiery is because it is so rare that you will ever have a player that checks both of those boxes. Normally, you are committing what you are doing as a corner to locking down a player, batting balls away, making sure the number one thing is you don't give them space and you just don't want the ball to hit their hands, or your number one thing is I've got to turn my head a little bit more quickly, I've got to anticipate a little bit more, I've got to sell out to go get the ball when it leaves the quarterback's hands, and I got to make sure that I'm good enough at catching to grab interceptions. There are so few players that have ever played the game that truly check both of those boxes with enough confidence for you to say, like, yeah, there's no debate. Like, There's no debate about who we're talking about here. So that's why, situations like this, obviously there's people who are on both Rivas' side or Asante Samuel Sr.'s side. The reason why is because you can hang your hat on both of these. And it's kind of beauty is in the eye of the beholder, which one that you would rather have.